You're listening to Parasearch Radio, news, views and reviews from the world of the paranormal from across the UK and beyond. Find us on Facebook, Twitter and the World Wide Web. Parasearch UK Radio. Parasearch Radio, broadcasting to the UK and beyond.
The views and opinions expressed by presenters and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Parasearch Radio or its affiliates and sponsors. Listener discretion is advised.
Good evening, ladies and gents, and welcome to your Friday night with Parasearch Radio. You've got myself tonight, Gemma, and we've got the beautiful, gorgeous Kerry. Hi, Kerry.
Hello, love. All right.
I'm fine. How are you?
Nervous.
Well, I bet everybody is wondering. I bet because it's been a bit cryptic this week, hasn't it? You started your weekly round off with special show on Friday, so everybody's going to be like, wonder what that's about then.
Yeah, and no, I didn't raise an event for it.
No event, so it's been quite cryptic and just appeared.
Yeah, it just did, didn't it?
Yeah, so everybody's like, what's going on there then? And I think at this point we should let everybody into the secret. We don't know what this is about either.
Flying by the seat of our pants, guys.
Yeah, we are only joking. We actually really do. So tonight, Kerry, I wanted to speak to you tonight because you put a post out and it was very blasé, very to the point, and that was that the spirit dimension is no more. And I just didn't think that we could let it go that easily.
Yeah, it was a hard decision, I'm not going to lie. It wasn't an easy one for me to make. It was like my baby, because when I came to Parasearch, I was doing the Dark Mirror show with Mark, and that fulfills a fun Friday fun feel kind of show, and we cover all sorts of topics on that show. But I didn't feel like, I think I have lots of facets to me, I suppose, and when I started, the Friday show helped me cut my teeth a bit further and get more comfortable presenting, because although I'd done it before, obviously I'd done it before, it was sort of like a new adventure, you know what I mean, with Mark as a co-host, and so that's sort of where I started with Parasearch. But I wanted to do something more that embraced another side to me, and that's how the spirit dimension got born, really. And and I ran with it for quite a long time, and I loved doing it. It wasn't that I didn't love doing it, but you change, you evolve, you move on in your journey, in this paranormal spiritual journey that I've been on for the last 5 years. And yeah, I mean, I got to interview some amazing people on the spirit dimension, and I'm not going to stop interviewing, but I just wanted to take it in a different direction. I didn't want to get tied down to doing a show every single week. I wanted to be able to focus on something and look into it into a lot more depth than I was getting time to do. So when I started looking at the spirit dimension and what I'd achieved so far, and it felt very mishmash. It didn't feel one thing or the other. It felt like on one week I'd be doing spiritual, another week I'd be doing life coaching, a more psychological based kind of show. Another week I'd be interviewing like a doctor or a parapsychologist. I know they hate that term, but I'm going to use that term. You know.
See, yeah, this is it. I mean, the guests that you've had on the Spirit Dimension, you've had some amazing, extremely talented, extremely professional people. And if I'm totally honest, I think I would have been a bit daunted by that. But you're not. You just run with it. And I think this is something that a lot of people don't see about you. And it's the unsung heroes, if you will. Like, people don't see what you do in the background.
No, I don't often show people what I do. I just keep myself to myself a lot of the time doing what I do, and some of the work that I do in the background, because it's personal interest. It's my hobby. Much as I love doing the radio, I also love the topic as well, and learning from that side of things. And I very quickly came away from the ghost hunt side of things, the investigation ghost hunt. Don't get me wrong, I won't criticise anybody who wants to do that. But for me,
well, we all love a ghost hunt once in a while. Let's
yeah, right. Yeah, you know,
well,
they have their good points, but I grew out of that very quickly because it didn't answer my why.
No, and this is it. You have so many whys. I've been working with you for quite a while now, and we work on a lot of projects that people know absolutely nothing about.
Yeah.
That they will do when the time's right. But until then, you know, good luck, everybody, because you're not going to find out what we're up to. But we've been working together, and you and Mr. Nib especially have sent me down this, you can't even call it a rabbit hole. It's a minefield. And you two are pushing me every single day, pushing me to come out of my comfort zone, because you see that that's the path that I'm wanting to take. How did that come about for you? How did you wake up one morning and just say, do you know what, this really isn't for me? I know you like the whys, but there's got to be a why to that why, hasn't there?
Talking to people that knew more than me. I think that's where it was. I'm not going to lie. We are going to blame a lot of this on Ashley Nib. I started.
We all like to do that.
Yeah, why not? You know, he's not here to defend himself, right? Yeah, I mean, I started talking to various bloggers. That was sort of like the first. Sarah Chimasero from Living Life in Full Spectrum was one of the first people I interviewed. And so I started reading her blogs. Ashley, obviously, I knew anyway, so reading his blogs, and then he answered a question. That's I have to say, this is probably, so this is ages ago. He'll probably go, I don't even remember this. Somebody said to him, who's one of your biggest influences in the paranormal field? And he came out with, oh God, I can't remember that. Frederick Myers? Or is that a horror movie? Oh God! Oh dear! Honestly, today I've been down so many rabbit holes. Anyway, there was this really big person in the SPR who wrote a massive book. He wrote 2 volumes of this book, and he had read this book, and he mentioned this guy's name, and I can't bloody remember the name now. mind fart. And I was like, who? And I was like, I don't know who that is. And so I didn't read the books that he's read, because trust me, he's got time for that, right? Because
in all fairness,
yeah, thank you.
He'll probably say himself as well. Some books are very difficult to read, so we're together on this one. We let Mr. Nib read the books, and then we get Mr. Nib to tell us about the books.
Well, the really clever like books, right? Yeah, like this one. We go, you read it. No, all the others we'll read, but you know, anything that feels, you know. And I'm not degree educated. I'm not an academic by nature. Do you know what I mean? I'm just a normal person living a normal life, single mum, 2 kids, day job. You know what I mean? In a shop. No, I'm not ashamed of that at all. You know what I mean? I'm living a normal life, trying to tackle topics that feel beyond my capability, but I'm having a go. You know what I mean?
I think they're beyond a lot of people's capabilities, and this is one thing for me, because even before I joined Parasearch, I did listen to your shows, and at times I was like, wow. It blew my mind. Even now, some of the topics that you'll take on that nobody else will, because no disrespect to anybody, but, you know, this is about you, Kerry, and a lot of the other shows are fluff.
I do my fair share of fluff shows too.
Everybody does fluff shows. But it's all, as you say, you know, ghost hunting, whereas you will delve in there with the really difficult subjects that everybody else would tend to try and just skim over.
I do regret that sometimes.
Why do you regret it though? Because it shows your knowledge, and I don't think anybody should regret having that knowledge. It's not, I think, like you say, you're not an academic. It's not come overnight. You've had to work hard to get that knowledge.
Yeah, and no, I think sometimes I pick a topic sometimes, or you know, look at a guest and think this is going to be a good show, you know, or like it'll fill an hour, it'll be fine. And then I start looking into it, and then it's like, oh my God, now I've got to hone it down to an hour, you know, and you can't do it justice, or you can't do the person justice, you know, in an hour. And when I was interviewing some of the bigger players, like the doctors and the professors, and that, I didn't feel that I was researching them properly to do them justice for week per week. Secondly, I wanted to understand more of the work that they had done, and in a week I weren't getting the time to do it, which was frustrating the hell out of me. So that was partly the reason why I decided to stop the Spirit Dimension, to take that pressure off the once a week show thing, because I wasn't happy.
See, this is something else a lot of people don't actually realise either, because you have your Spirit Dimension, or you had the Spirit Dimension. You did a Tuesday night on the Paranormal concept, and then every other week the Dark Mirror. But what people don't tend to realise is, even though you may not be on live on the shows, you are pretty much on 99% of the shows every night. I'm ashamed to say that you do my studio for me. Can I do it? Yes, I can, but I like to talk to Kerry, so, you know, two birds, one stone.
And I like talking to you.
So even when you're not on the radio, you are still in the studio. So what people don't realise is that time aspect that it takes up for you.
Yeah, it does take up a lot of time, because there's a lot of other work I do for the radio station, and I'm looking at all sorts of things and helping to, or trying to help progress Parasearch Radio, as well as all the presenters, you know, like helping and guiding you guys through it, you know, because, you know, we had quite a few conversations when you was doing Amanda Jack, Sparrow lady, you know, just giving. I hate to use the word coaching. I hate to use the word coaching or stuff like that. But
well, I said, I'm not ashamed to say, I said to you, like, because that was one lady that I really wanted to interview, because it was fascinating. That whole thing had me gripped, and I was like, I want to interview this lady. So I messaged her, and then straight away I was like, Kerry, she said yes. She said yes, she's only coming on the show, isn't she?
And I'm like, excellent.
And then it was like, it was a case of, but am I the right person to be interviewing this lady? So I'm not ashamed to say, everybody needs help from time to time, or pointing in the right direction. I think you're better off being honest enough to say, well, actually, yeah, I need a little bit of help. I do need a bit of guidance, and sometimes just reined in a little bit.
Yeah, and, you know, that's sort of, I mean, I know I have a co-owner of the station as well, Mr. Paul Rook, in the chat room. says he taught me everything he knows about those difficult topics.
I was just going to ignore that one, to be honest. I was just like,
oh, bless him. But that's part of the role of running a station. You know what I mean? It's like doing your best for your presenters so they can do their best for me. You know what I mean? For the station. And, you know, and that is just how I see it. You know, it's ultimately, we're putting a product out there every single night of the week, pretty much. You know, yeah, there have been gaps at times and people have come and gone. But it's that process. It's that getting a show out, and if someone's nervous about something, helping them through that process, or suffering with issues at home or anxiety. I mean, you know, it's a whole ball game. It's not just, and I suffer from that too. And you guys have done the same for me back. It's not just a one-way street; it's a two-way street. But ultimately, it's a product we're putting out there, and it's an amazing station. I adore what we all do, and we all do it fantastically every single night of the week. You know what I mean? And we bang it out every single night, and we come up with great shows, great topics, and that's part of it. It's my role is that support for everybody else as much as trying to do good shows myself, you know what I mean, and do my private researches and stuff like that. And so it does take up a lot of time, but with having that, I mean, at one point I was doing 4 shows a week and I hit a burnout. It's no secret, I hit a complete burnout. And I normally hit it around Christmas anyway, because I'm having to do extra hours at where the pressure at Christmas is always more, isn't it? And which is why
you love Christmas, especially when it gets to your Gwyneth bit.
Oh, my Gwyneth Paltrow cryy Oscar speech. Yeah, I love that. I think everybody else loves that because it's the only time I let my guard down in public, as it were. But I know every single night you've got somebody coming out and banging it out the ballpark every single time, and I take it incredibly personally if anybody who does this kind of work gets criticised, because there was a post a little while ago by somebody on one of the socials, not linked to Parasearch, but it was about general comments about podcasters, paranormal podcasters.
I see that post. I know exactly which one you're on about, yeah.
I took that incredibly personally, because whether or not you're on our station, whether or not you're one of the other stations, I know the work that goes in behind the scenes. You know what I mean? We're non-profit. We don't earn money out of this. None of us are earning anything out of it. So if anybody stands there and says we're doing it for fame and fortune, where?
What fame and what fortune?
Where? We might get some opportunities that other people wouldn't get because of the exposure that we give people. But that's not fame and fortune, trust me.
No, it's not.
We're not
It's a free ghost hunt, if you're lucky.
If you're lucky. Yeah. Yeah, it's not. You're not going to earn fortunes out of this. We put a lot of work into the shows. We don't just do Wikipedia research, regardless of what anybody else might think. We all put our all into each show. Sourcing guests, talking to the guests beforehand. How many guests are so nervous before they come onto a show? You're having to coach them through that process.
Even the presenters. I mean, I know what it's like. My first ever show with yourselves, I mean, yes, I'd been on as a guest and I'd been on other people's shows as a guest, but it's easy being a guest. You come along, you spout what you need to spout at that time, and then you go home and jobs are good. Do you know what I mean? But when you're actually hosting your own show, it's difficult. Like you say, you have to put the time and effort in. So you've got to have a passion for that. If you've not got it, you're not going to stick around.
No. And that's been proved with people that have come and gone on the station, quite frankly, because people go, oh, yeah, easy. 1 show a week, an hour, no problem. It's not that easy, everybody. It takes passion, commitment. It's hard work. There's a lot of research that goes in. Even if you've got a guest, you have to know your guest. So you're having to do research on that guest. And depending on the guest will depend on the level of research you have to do for that person. And some of the people I was getting on, I just didn't feel I was giving them justice in an hour show on the spirit dimension. So going back to that, that's another reason why I said, right, enough. I am not happy for my personal show, the level of research I want to do on these people. If I'm going to interview these people, I want to go in and know what I'm talking about. And that was pretty much the driving force behind that. I also work very spiritually, as you all know. I have another completely different woo-woo side to me that reads signs and looks at omens and work crystals and reads tarot cards and all that sort of stuff. And all the signs were saying, stop on that show. And for once, I listened. For once, I followed my gut. For once, yeah. Because normally I don't. Normally I go, no, it can't be that, surely. No, for once I actually thought, right, okay, so this is the situation. What do I want? What do I want to do now to progress my journey, my personal journey? I still want to do Parasearch. I'm still doing topics that I like on, like you say, the Paranormal Concept show with Paul and the Dark Mirror show with Mark. I still love those two shows, so I'm not lacking in shows to do, as it were. I'm still got the station, as it were, with Paul. But for my personal interviewing side of things and my personal research side of things, stop the spirit dimensions, take the pressure off of the once a week. Then if I get a guest that I want to interview, then I can take the time to really research that person and do it as and when I want to, rather than tied in to once a week and not getting the time to produce the content that I would be happy to produce. I'm not denigrating anybody else's shows, once a week shows, because I say I'm on 2 hours a week as it is. Do you know what I mean? Doing that other side of it. And there's another side of it, of some of the projects that I take on, like private projects, that are very in depth, shall we say. And that's quite integral to me. I did the 30 East Drive research. That, believe it or not, that took probably about a year to 18 months to research that show. And I didn't include everything that I found out because it went on for 2 hours as it was. Yeah. You know, it was a bit of a marathon show. And a big shout out again to Ashley. I work quite closely with Ashley Nibb in the field, the research side of things. And he's always been there to bounce ideas off of and discuss and talk through topics and work with and keep me on topic because, as he says, I'm a butterfly researcher. I go down rabbit and he goes, why have you actually gone down this particular side avenue? Because you're supposed to be, you wanted to do, oh yes, that's right, I wanted to do that, so I don't. And he's very good at keeping me organised and focused on the project in hand. And I'd worked quite closely with Ashley on the 30 East Drive show, and as I say, it went on for 2 hours as it was. Yeah. And we didn't even cover a lot of what we have found out or possible explanations for some of the phenomena that had happened in the original haunting and stuff like that. So, yeah.
See, this is it though, isn't it? It is never ending. It really is never ending. And the more you look into things, and I'm with you with Mr. Nibb trying to pull you back when you start going off, because I do exactly the same. I'm like, we'll be doing one thing and then I'll be like, oh, but have you seen this? And it's like, no, back this way, love. Come back. Come here. Stop it, behave. So I totally get what you're saying. But then Mr. Nibb's no shy. He's not shy at throwing us a curveball once in a while either, is he?
Oh, God, no. God, no. All I can say is thank God I've got a partner in crime now in you, because beforehand I only had me and, me and him, as it were, for research. And the amount of times I was banging my head on my desk and going, what is he talking about? I have no idea.
It is all about the why's, the why, and the main one is, why am I doing this?
And his favourite expression of zoom out. Oh.
Yeah, I'll give you zoom out.
Yeah, there have been times. There have been times. But then I think, and I don't want to blow my own trumpet, but I think I've made him think in different ways at times too. And I say, he'll probably go, no, you haven't. No.
See, I completely disagree with that bit. I don't think he will say, no, you haven't, just because of something that we're working on in the background now. It was you that came up with that, and at that point, we was all like, maybe. Let's have a look.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was a month ago.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about that project because that's in very, very early stages. I would say we're probably in
early stages,
egg stage.
about a month ago. Yeah. And none of us have seen the light of day since she took us down this journey. But that is just one example of, yes, I do believe that you do make people question because of that one thing. That one thing, and all it was a little coincidence. And it was like...
I would say it was more
actually,
of a feeling.
A feeling that led to a coinky dink and then a sinky sink.
Coinky dink and a sinky sink. You gotta love them, haven't you? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, you're probably going, no, she hasn't made me think at all. But
well, it's in the chat room, so let us know, Mr. Nib. I think you have, because I know you have for me. Oh, look at this. Mr. Nib straight on it. I'm well impressed. High five to Mr. Nib, everyone. Of course you have, KG. It's important to listen to everybody. And he's so right. It is. It is important to get other people's opinions and other people's views on what's occurring. How are you going to come up with any sort of data to prove otherwise without it?
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I have to say, I kind of... There are many, many times that I feel out of my depth. Completely out of my depth.
You're so not out of your depth.
No, I do feel it. I can't sit here and say, I can't sit here and say, talking mongoose.
Oh yeah, we both just see that at exactly the same time because we both just like
shaking my head. That bloody mongoose is haunting me, I swear to God. I would say that I do feel out of my depth on this one, but there have been times before I felt very out of my depth, and I've done my best under the circumstances. We were researching the EMF show, and I was looking at this and thinking it would be really easy. I'm not a tech person, as you all know. And, oh my God, I was reaching out to everybody, going, please, somebody explain to me what this term means, because it's
well, you look at
physics.
Stuff and you think, I'm a logical person, right? So, and although I'm not an academic, like, you look at it and you're like, I should be able to work this out, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
sometimes, yeah, you see, I'm with you. Like, ciphers.
Schrodinger's box, infinite monkeys on infinite computer, on infinite
let's not even go back to that.
I mean, honest to God, I know, right?
Again. Animal abuse, people. Animal abuse.
Exactly right. Or both of those, animal abuse. All I'm saying is those concepts take me forever to get my head around, and it's taken some amazing people with time and patience explaining those terms to me. And actually, that's a massive thank you to people that have done that for me. You know what I mean? And yes, sometimes I have to put them in a way that is understandable, layman term. I always have to get it in a way that my brain understands it.
What I like about not just your work, but your shows as well, because you'll take these difficult topics and then put it into plain old English for little Joe Blogs me over here to understand.
I hope so, and I want to do more of that. But to do that, sometimes you have to understand it roughly yourself. Like the one night where I was sitting at my desk and I was watching kittens playing on a YouTube video. So I do a lot of that.
Admitted to this live?
I am actually admitting to this live. Yeah, I was having a real I'm tired. I'm just going to watch a bit of fluff, and I'd sort of got waylaid on Facebook for something that was to do with kittens, and I see. I'm going to blame this one on Ashley too. Bless him. God, that poor man.
Let's just blame everything on Mr. Nib.
He is a huge part of my pathway through this. I'm not going to deny that. A lot of other people as well, but Ashley's been very fundamental to it. And he just sent me a message, and he went, "Have you heard
Stop blaming me?"
No, yeah, stop blaming me. No, he sent me a message saying, "Have you heard of the holographic universal theory?"
Oh,
and I went, "Oh no." Googled it, right? And I'm thinking, right, okay, what is this then? And it's that led me down a 4-hour rabbit hole to try and understand it. And I'm going, where's my Professor Brian Cox when you need him? Do you know what I mean? And stuff like that. Come on, Brian, bring it in. Because he's very good, actually, when you watch his programmes on TV. He did a live show on quantum physics. and he had a celebrity audience, and he was doing lots of experiments and not dumbing it down, but layman terming it down for the everyday person. I came off the back of that show watching Professor Brian Cox, kind of understanding it, but then I couldn't have repeated it back, if that makes sense. But while he was talking about it, I kind of got the concept. And that is why he's one of my go-tos for physics and stuff like that. But he kind of put it in terms that I get. And so when he's talking about the cosmology and stuff like that, so I'm like Googling Professor Brian Cox, holographic universal theory, I'm trying to work this out. And then actually, it was off the back of him and other physicists, I started to sort of get it. And if I can mentally picture it, like put it into sort of like, if I can mentally picture it, that's why I can't get infinite monkeys and infinite typewriters and infinite. I just can't. You. It's just my brain goes. It's why would you
goes
even
on
think
crash
that?
And needs an update at that point.
Yeah,
I'm with you completely.
I'm quite literal thinking, I think. So if I can put it in terms I understand, then anyway, I came back and we were doing a show on the Sunday, and my guest, bless him, Mr. Cal Cooper, Dr. Cal Cooper, had bloody forgotten to do this, write it in his diary that he was supposed to do a show. 2 minutes. I know, right? 2 minutes before the show, I'm messaging Ashley going, do a show with me. I've got to go live at 9. And he's like, oh, okay, what are we talking about? I went, roll with me. Just roll with me. And we did the theory show. And we're talking about things like entanglement and this universal holographic theory and all of this sort of stuff on the show. And I'm talking and he's talking and it's flowing and it goes out. And before we knew it, an hour had gone. And I came off the back of the show and, it was like, oh, thank God for that. And actually, when I listened back to it, we made sense.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, well, I was obviously listening to that show because I do listen to I would love to say all of the shows, but I occasionally do miss one. But I was definitely listening. I know I should slap myself for that. I never listen to mine, though, in all fairness. So that's in my 99%.
There's your growth curve, is when you listen to your own shows and you get past the cringe factor of listening to yourself and how you do it. That's where your growth curve is. And that's what I say to all of you. Listen to your shows. Even now.
Yeah, I don't need to grow anymore. I'm fine.
You got a long way to grow yet, my darling.
I'm 5'4". I don't need to be any taller. I'm fine up 5'4". That'll do.
And that's one thing. I still listen back to all the shows, even if I've produced or whatever. I always listen as a listener because you learn different things as a listener to how you do whilst you're doing it.
Oh, you see, I could listen to everybody else's all day long, but no, thank you. But anyway, that's not what tonight's about, Kerry. Stop it. You're very good at doing this. Let's just turn the topic around. Stop it. Behave yourself, woman. Behave yourself. She don't like being interviewed, does this lady?
I get nervous.
She tries to avoid it. Yeah, but what do you get nervous for? And you miss out on opportunities so you can put other people forward. And that is another reason why I couldn't just let the spirit dimension go without delving into the whys. Because, like, the whole going back to the Daily Mail thing at the beginning of the year, none of us would have been up for that. It was you that put us all forward for it. And because you had 5 females on your team, you discounted yourself straight away. You put everybody else before yourself.
Because it was the right thing to do. How could I sit there and one of you girls be dropped? And it's like, it just didn't feel right. So I didn't give them the option. That's how I saw that. Don't give them the option. Give them 4 girls. They want 4 girls. I'll give them 4 girls. And it was a no-brainer in my head on that one. And yeah, okay. So when they ended up having 7.
Yeah, because
that's the laugh of it. They ended up having 7, but when they came to when I was speaking to the lady from the Daily Mail, she wanted 4. I've got 5 girls. For me that was a no-brainer, and you all deserve that recognition yourselves. You know what I mean? And
so do you. So do you. And this is it. It does make Kerry sound a bit like my pimp, doesn't it, Paul? Didn't think about that till you popped up in the chat room. But so do you. You deserve that recognition as well. And as I said earlier, it's not just what you do while you're on your shows, because your shows are outstanding. Without doubt, they are.
Thank you.
Well, they are. And
I'm blushing.
Stop. I can actually see you. You're blending in. You're blending in now. The fall. But no, and I think you tend to brush over yourself and put everybody else first. And as I said, you're like the unsung hero of the paranormal field, because the amount of time and effort researching you put in, and people may think that researching is easy. I can assure them it is not. It's hard. It's hard going. And you spend hours researching. And like you say, you know, putting things into layman terms, because there's so many books out there, there's so many articles, there is so much information out there, but it's written, the majority of it is written in an academic format, which a lot of people don't understand. So for you to come along, translate that.
Try to. We try to.
Well, you do.
Okay.
You don't try to, you succeed. So for you to be able to do that and then put it out for everybody to be able to refer to it, that's outstanding. That is phenomenal work, and you just don't. You're not like, look at me, I'm here. This is what I do.
Oh, I'm
you
getting all misty.
Oh, we're not going to get an A fever moment, are we?
Oh, you never know. No, I'm not that drunk yet.
Willis is in the building.
Oh, thank you, everybody.
You are a hero, Kerry, and I don't think you realise that yourself. And not only that, but you know, as I said, you push people out of their comfort zones, but you also make people realise their capabilities.
That's why I'm called the Evil Queen by Penny. That's a nickname that
Speaking of Penny wants to know if you've written your article yet for the Haunted Month.
I'm not a natural writer. That's one thing I'm not. I'm a talker. I can do show runs. I can do research. I can do that. But writing, I'm not a natural writer. It takes me forever. And yes, Penny, I will attempt an article. It will be sent to you for proofwriting. And
see, I'm with you. I hate writing. I've never been very good at writing. So whenever I write a blog, yeah, it does me. Yeah, I'm the same. I'm like, oh God, does that even read right? Well, I don't know. Seems all right to me, but the sentences go on for 4 hours.
Yeah, and like I will write as I think, and that, as Ashley knows, is very butterfly-like. So I will start the sentence in one place, and by the time you've got to the back of the sentence, you're like, where the hell, what the? And even just doing a post for my spirit and soul work, that can take hours. And just trying to think of the right thing to do. But get me on a topic for a show, and I'm researching, and I'm doing this, and I'm doing that, and you know, and I'm working in that way. That I find quite easy to do, and I can't formulate it. Even when I was writing for Spooky Isles, I stopped because it just became. I can find endless inspiration for a radio show, but come to an article, and I'm like, duh. You know, I'm not a natural writer. You better not have dropped on me, Gemma. That's all I'm saying. Oh, she has. She's dropped on me, everybody. So, yeah, I'm not a natural writer, and that's really where we go with that. I think she's back in the house.
Oh, I am so sorry. I have no idea what happened. My laptop just said, nah, I've had enough for one day. I'm just going to turn off on you mid-show. Thanks for that.
And now my camera's not working. Oh, well, we'll carry on.
Yeah, just carry on regardless. You know. Nothing went wrong at all there, peeps. Everything's running smoothly over here.
Oh, I have to say that's one area that when tech goes wrong, that can take me forever to sort out.
Yeah, you see, you don't do tech. Well, you do tech, but you're not a big tech fan.
Mm-mm. No.
I sort of get that because
you love your tech.
Yeah, I do. See, it interests me. And again, this is, we're very similar in this aspect. It's the whys. Mm-hmm. How does it work? What does it do? How do you know it measures that? Well, let's have a look. What components has it got in it? Blah, 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 blah. So that's where it comes from for me. But you're the same. Do you know what I mean? As much as you don't like tech, you will still look into the whys, the ifs, the buts, and the maybes. You won't just skim over it and go, oh, okay, it's a K2, it flashes if the EMF changes or fluctuates.
No, but I won't look at, say, like the piece of tech. I'll look at the actual, what it's recording. So I'll be like, okay, so what is an EMF? What is it we're recording? So, yes, okay, it does that, but I'm not interested in that bit of tech. I'm interested in what it's recording. And so that's why I found electromagnetic fields very interesting. And then that tied into another research project that's still ongoing, really. Which came off the back of the amount of little side projects that go on that are just crazy. I've got like so many tiny little projects, and then I've got big projects, and then it's a bit like that. But then I've heard this about authors, like who was I talking to? They were saying I've usually always write in the middle of writing about 3 or 4 books, because they will, like jump around depending on what avenue it goes down. It's not like a constant. So, yeah, it is a difficult one. And tech in itself, if it goes wrong, I'm trying to work out something at the moment to push Parasearch forward, and that's taking me like forever. And sometimes I need someone to push me along as well. It's, I know I do a lot of that for other people, but sometimes I need that too. But I actually feel more important in progressing others than myself. And actually shaking her head at me, but that's sort of what I do, and how I've always been.
Richard Clements has summed it up quite nicely in the chat room. He said that your time will come for your recognition, and it will. Of course it will, without a doubt. I don't doubt that for 2 minutes. But
I don't want fame and fortune. That's one thing.
It's
been
about
thrown
fame
at me.
And fortune, though, is it, Kerry? This isn't about fame and fortune. This is about the passion and sharing the knowledge. You have got a massive, massive bucket load of knowledge.
On a lot of different subjects. Yeah, on a lot of different subjects as well. And a lot of it's more spiritual based than it is anything else. But I think I've been accused throughout my journey, not just with Parasearch, pre-Parasearch, of a lot of different things. And I don't hold grudges. I don't get involved in paradrama. I'm not interested. That's not what I do. That's not me as a person. If I've, left somebody because they've gone off on a different pathway, that's great. Go do your thing. I'm over here doing my thing. You go and do your thing. And if we've had a falling out or whatever the situation is, that's fine. It's done. It's done. It's forgotten. I'm not doing things on my pathway to try and mess your pathway up. I'm just doing what I want to do. And I'm not after fame and fortune. If I was, I probably could have had it by now if I'd really pushed for it. I didn't. I don't. So that's not what I'm doing this for. I have a passion for what I do. Otherwise, I wouldn't do it. Yeah. I'm that bloody minded that I wouldn't do it if I didn't want to do it. And I've had my wobbles. We all have our wobbles, at times. But I do not want fame and fortune out of this. Get me in front of a camera, I cannot talk like I can on a radio. Yeah. You wouldn't believe the work. On a Monday now, I do a live on the Facebook. Now I'm okay with it. It's a half-hour live, whatever. That's fine. I can do that now. But if you actually had a camera crew stood there, I'd be like a dribbling wreck. That would freak me the hell out. It really would. My anxiety would be off the show. I'd be sweating and my shaking and feeling sick, and all of a sudden my brain would go blank and I'd be like, blah, blah. You know what I mean? It just wouldn't work. I'm not naturally good in that way. But get me in front of a microphone and talking, and I can do it. And that's where I know my capabilities. Do you know what I mean? I'm not after fame and fortune. I've had a lot of criticism from people that have gone on a different pathway to me, which is fine. That's great. We was obviously meant to come into our lives for a reason, passed out of our lives for a reason. It's no different from relationships or friendships or, circumstances that happen. I bear no grudges. I don't do things to get back at people. I just do my thing.
Yeah.
And that's good enough for me. And everything I do with a good intention. I don't ever work in a lower negative mindset. I don't do it.
Nobody can ever doubt your integrity. You are one of the most forthcoming people I've ever met in my life. Your integrity is second to none. Nobody can ever doubt that. If they know you. Obviously, if people don't know you, then they're welcome to their opinions. But no,
and I'm very honest as well. And if I have a problem with somebody, I address it with somebody. You know what I mean? I won't come in shouting and screaming and baseball batting you, but you want my opinion, I'll give it. You know what I mean? Whether or not you want it or not. But I have a huge support network too that allow me to do that. And a lot of that comes from the Parasearch team. You know, everybody on that team I can turn to at some point or other and know they'll have my back. I've got some amazing people behind me. Paul Rook brought me from a really bad situation into Parasearch, and for him I'll forever be grateful, and he's always there. If I've got a problem and I don't know how to deal with it or I need to rant off, always there. Richard Clements, always there. Ashley Nibb, always there. You're always there. Penny, always there. Even Mark Manley, always there. Do you know what I mean? There are people that are always there for me no matter what the situation is, and I will be, if someone comes to me external of the station and asks me what's happened, I will tell them very honestly, and I don't go down the slag off route either. I will the bare bones of it is this, that's what happened.
Yeah.
My perspective. Draw your own conclusions. And I say I don't get involved in the paradramas. I've got no time for it. This is why you won't see me comment on anything unless it's to do directly with Parasearch and we've been called out for something. Won't get involved. No need for me to be involved.
You see, I totally get that. I don't often get involved in drama. Like you, can't be bothered. I haven't got enough hours in the day for that crap.
No. I've got enough going on. Exactly. Yeah, I've got enough going on without worrying about, quite frankly, people on Facebook. Or Twitter or Insta or whatever platform it comes at. I ain't got time for that. And if it comes to me directly, I will answer it. But I won't go personal. I'll answer it directly. If someone goes personal, I'll block them because there is no need to get personal at all. That's just ignorance and lack of knowledge, quite frankly. But I won't get involved if it's nothing to do with me. I'll just scroll on by.
Yeah, just have a little look, scroll on by, jobs are good and see you later.
Yeah.
Sometimes, though, it is difficult not to get involved, like especially if Parasearch has been brought into it, because, this is yours and Paul's baby.
Yeah.
This is something that you guys worked hard for. Not just by sharing a post either, because it's not that easy.
No, it looks it. That's the problem, I think, is it looks easy. It looks like anybody can do it, but it's the same as running an events company. It looks easy. Book an event, pay the deposit, sell your tickets, hope you sell enough tickets to pay the rest of the location, which is what a lot of people think it is. Yeah. Maybe a little bit of insurance, don't worry about anything else, done, job done. It's not that easy. If it was, everybody would be successful at it. They're not. Many people get caught up in that. Oh, it's easy to do, and it isn't easy to do. No, and that's why we see problems with events companies that come and go and, I paid my ticket and then they've cancelled it and all of this. And it becomes a witch hunt through basically somebody being ignorant of how to run a business, quite frankly.
Well, yeah.
And that's the basic line of it. And all this regulating the paranormal and stuff like that, there are regulations. Basic business regulations cover a lot of that. You can't regulate something that we haven't even proved yet.
unknown.
Exactly, right? But all the other sides of running a business are covered under basic business regulations by the government, which we discussed on Governing the Paranormal show.
Yeah.
But and things like that, you know, it's stuff like that. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it and being successful at it. It's not easy to do, and if you think you can do it, have a go. But it's not.
I just died over here. I'm so sorry.
She's choking on her gin.
Choking on my gin. You're not meant to tell people that.
It's a Friday night.
Everybody at home would have just assumed that I'm still poorly sick and dying.
No, and running a show even once a week is not easy. There have been times where people have done it when they're really sick, when their families are going through it, when they're actually heartbroken and, you know, trying to push through that. There have been times where your guest lets you down 5 minutes before the show goes live and you're having to, you know, try and still put a show out. There's times where you pick a topic and you realise that either you've bitten off more you can chew, or there's no grounds for the topic. We've done that one before.
They're usually the best kind of ones, though, aren't they?
There's, you know, it's not easy, and anybody that says it is easy, and yes, you're going to do really amazing shows, and yes, you're going to do some not so good shows. That's part and parcel of it. You know, I mean, God, you've only got to look at EastEnders to see some storylines are amazing and some storylines are crap. You know, that's life, everybody. You know, but, you know, we are lucky. We get, you know, people seem to like what we do, and we've got some amazing people on the station, and it's great. Yeah, there were times when we were doing a pop-up show 5 minutes before. Yeah, I like to do that. And I'll tell you why I like to do a pop-up show now and again. And what happens
keep
is...
us on the edge of our toes?
Well, yeah, there is that. Keeps you razor sharp. Secondly, it will generally be coming off the back of a discussion that has been going on anyway on the after-show parties. I love the after-show parties. They are... some of the discussions hilarious. Yeah, some of the people that join and some of the discussions that happen on the after show parties are just hysterical, and I love those. I do love those.
I love those too.
Yeah, they're great.
I love those crazy chats.
Yeah, crazy chats. And those are the times, actually, where some of the best ideas are born as well, for shows or for research projects or just out of curiosity. I mean, we was talking a couple of weeks ago with Paul Rook, and he's gone off on a little rabbit hole search on something that came out of one of those discussions that we had. And
oh dear, Paul.
Yeah, watch out, there's a pop-up about. Yeah, it's like they're all like, oh my God, no. And there have been times where people have stopped me from doing a pop-up show when I've been out on the lash and thought it was an amazing idea to then do a show, and everyone's like, you can barely speak, Kerry, let alone do a pop-up show.
Sometimes it's got to be done.
But sometimes it's got to be done. And there have been shows that have been done, and I'm not going to lie, where we have all been rammed off our heads, and it's been hysterical.
Oh, God, yeah. I think there was a Dark Mirror show, actually, that I wasn't supposed to be doing, but then you was like, oh, just come on the show, and I was already half cut. We'll go with half cut. And I was thinking, oh, my good God. You're like, I'm going to send you the research now. And I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah, send it, bro. Send me this research, bro. And I'm like, hang on a minute. These words are dancing on the page. I can't see them. I don't know what I'm hearing.
But you listen to it, and to be fair, very rarely do you know. You know what I mean? That somebody's half cut, you know. I mean, the birthday party shows or the end of year shows, generally everybody's drunk on those shows.
Oh, yes.
Usually they're drunk. But I love doing those with all the presenters in, or as many as I can muster
and
on the night.
And this is it. Like, a lot of people, like, you hear it, like, when award ceremonies, especially, everybody's like, I know people say it all the time, but the Parasearch family is exactly that. It is a family. We all have each other's backs through thick and thin. If any of us are having a bad day, we don't even have to hesitate about picking up the phone and even calling a group chat, get everybody in on it.
Yeah.
You know, my life's a mess. This is what's happening. No, it's okay. Let's sort this. Let's grab a brew, reconvene in 5, and we'll take it from there. Do
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It really is. And I think a lot of that is down to you and Paul, because you both encourage that as well.
It's important. That for us is really important, because you are part of a team. It's not me and Paul are the bosses and you are our like little researchers and you know, like presenters.
You are our minions.
Yeah, it's not like that. We're all in this together. You know what I mean? Yes, okay, so me and Paul, the buck rests with us, as it were. You know, it's up to us to run the station and make sure we do our best to help push those shows out there where we can and update tech and maybe look at new things to do or try or whatever. But ultimately, we are a team, and we have an eclectic mix of shows going out every night. And, you know, that is what makes Parasearch. So I can't sit and say...
I beg to differ. It's you and Paul that make Parasearch.
Let's just go with me.
Yeah, we'll just go with you. Yeah. Paul will do a show for you later, love. Another day. But without you guys, though, Parasearch wouldn't be here.
Well, to be fair, without Richard and Paul, because they're the ones that started this. I know Richard stepped back and I stepped into, you know, that role basically, but they started it. It was their baby, and I just sort of came in and elbowed everybody else out the way. I was like, it's mine now, mine. What?
My
yeah. That makes me sound really bad, doesn't it? But no, Paul is always there in the background, you know, and he annoys me a little because he has a huge wealth of information in his brain that he doesn't always bring forward, and could easily. And I think I've pushed...
yeah, Paul's a bit of a shocker.
He can, yeah.
Paul can shock you, yeah, definitely. I would totally agree with that. Yeah, but then I do that too, so I'm with Paul on that.
Oh, God, yeah, I said that to you on the first listen to your show.
Yeah.
She did her first show, come off the back of it, goes, oh, was that all right? Brilliant. You know, I flied your light under a bushel, girl, don't you? Is what I said. And she was like, and I like to give people space to be able to fulfill their potential. You know what I mean? That's what I do. That's in my spiritual life. That's how I've been working, you know, showing people their own potential. And
yeah,
you know,
you definitely encourage people to grow. Definitely, without a doubt. You're always so encouraging, and I'm not just saying that for myself either, because I'm sure that every single Parasearch presenter would say exactly the same. Like Penny, you know, you encourage her all the time as well, and I know that because we was chatting the other night. So you know, you do it with me. You've done it with Joe. I'm sure you even do it with Paul.
Yeah, well, he doesn't get away lightly.
You encourage everybody, and you always push people to fulfill their journey. We'll go with their journey because that varies from person to person, doesn't it? But
yeah,
you always encourage people. So Kerry, what is next? What now? The spirit dimension is no more. What is next?
It's. I'm not going to tie myself to something weekly, but there will be interview shows, special interview shows. I'm going to go down that route more, and explore people in a lot more depth than has been done before, or I've had the time to do on the spirit dimension. I'm going to probably precision pick who I'd like to interview, rather than, God, I've got to fill the show every single week. I've got a few ideas of different shows that I'd like to do, but I've yet to evolve those into how that's going to work. But again, they're not going to be regular weekly shows. They're going to be ad hoc shows. So just watch out, because there's going to be a lot more coming from the Parasearch team as well as myself. So yeah, there's going to be more. And
I mean, your earphones are not being hung up, though, are they? You know,
No.
And I think it's important to stress that you are, just because this is going to sound awful, and I don't mean it to, but you sort of outgrew the spirit dimension.
Yeah,
you know?
that's how it felt.
Yeah, you outgrew that, and you want to take things more in depth. So that's what you're going to be focusing on. It's not going to be regular, like you say, but it is going to be there. But you are not hanging up your earphones or your microphone, because you've still got the Tuesday night show.
Yeah.
You are still in the studio doing a lot of studio work, while a lot of the other presenters are live.
Mm-hmm.
I know you do it for me and Joe.
Yeah, I do it. I think the only person I don't do it for is Penny, who's like a little force to be reckoned with all by herself, bless her.
Yeah.
She's on a pathway all of her own, but still banging an amazing show out every single week for Parasearch. You know, there's a lot more to come. And just because the spirit dimension has come to its natural conclusion, I feel, doesn't mean that you won't be hearing special interviews, other shows that I've got plans for, and I'm not going anywhere. So, so it's not an issue, which some people have taken to gloat, perhaps, a little.
Well, people are always going to have a gloat. They're always going to have their opinions, but unless you actually know the truth behind stuff, then their opinion really ain't worth a thing, is it?
Nah. Doesn't. It's water off a duck's back, as it were. Water off a duck's back, because I know what I'm doing. As I say, I'm on my pathway. They're on their pathway. They can do what they want to do. And if I feel it's worth addressing, I will address it with somebody. In this occasion, I don't feel it's worth it. But I know what I'm doing.
Good. As long as you're not just trying to disappear in the background, because never going to happen.
No, I like radio too much. I like the sound of my own voice. Too much. I like the work too much. I still have as much passion, if not more now, than I ever have had before. I just want to produce, for me personally, higher content. I want to push it to the next level for me. It's got nothing to do with anybody else, but that's my personal goal for this year. And as I say, it became a natural progression, an outgrowing of that particular show. And that's really why.
I can't wait to see what's to come. So excited.
Well, hopefully. And, you know, who knows? Who knows what's going to come? You'll have to keep your eye on Parasearch Radio.
Well, with that said, we've already done an hour chicken licking.
Oh, gosh, yeah, we have, haven't we? That went quick. They're all bated breath waiting for the after show now, aren't they?
Oh, God, yeah. Everybody's like, add me in.
It's the Friday night after show party. It's still going strong, everybody.
See, the Friday night after show party evolves just like the shows evolve.
Exactly. It's all good, right?
Well, Kerry, and thank you so much for just joining tonight, because I wanted to get you onto the Supernatural show, but I didn't have space.
No, I know, you're booked up, aren't you?
Space. I was like, what?
Yeah,
what?
you're like booked up.
You can't just put a little post up on old Facebook and other platforms are available and say, yeah, that's it, Spirit Dimension's come to an end. See ya.
Yeah, that was a bit of a shocker for you lot.
It.
I know, that was a bit of a shocker for you lot, because I hadn't discussed it with anybody either. I just sort of sent a few messages out to give people a few heads up and then put it on the socials. And that kind of was a bit of a... We haven't even... What? How? What?
We've not
Where?
discussed this.
Yeah. But I didn't want to discuss it. It was a decision I'd made. I didn't want to discuss it. It was something I'd made. And so, as I say, I sent a few messages out pre-public, and then I put the public up, and it was a bit of a curveball for a lot of people. They weren't seeing it coming, didn't see it coming. And so thank you for giving me the opportunity to explain to explain it, really, because, you know, a lot of people have messaged me saying, are you all right? Is everything okay?
Yeah.
I'm absolutely fine. I would just like to say I am absolutely fine. I just felt I'd outgrown it for the reasons I've outlined, and there is more to come. Just evolving, yeah.
Just evolving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what we all have to do in life, is evolve.
Exactly. The best lessons come from that, don't they?
They certainly do.
Well, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you for interviewing me. It's been interesting.
Oh, it was just a chinwag, mate, wasn't it? It was just a chinwag.
This is just what we talk about in the after shows, really.
Yeah, well, it's not. She's lying there.
Well, yeah, it kind of goes off in angles in that.
X-rated sometimes in the Right, and on that note, I hand the helm back to the boss lady.
Oh, thank you so much, Gemma. It's an absolute pleasure. Thank you. On Monday, I will be going live on the Parasearch Radio group page, giving you your rundown for the weekly shows, as always. There is a new competition. If you have been hiding under a bushel, our lovely Penny Griffiths-Morgan, has been writing a book. She's already on her second book, bless her. Yeah, she's written a book. And there is a competition on the Parasearch Radio group page to win a signed copy of the book. So go over there, enter your name under the comments, and don't forget you have to be a liker of the page, obviously. And yeah, that is that book, Gems. We've all got a couple, we're all like, where's that book? So if you want to enter the competition, go over to the Parasearch Radio group page. If you miss any of the shows, you can catch up either here on Spreaker or go over to our YouTube channel. And don't forget, guys, click like, share and subscribe. And on that note, we both bid you a very good evening.
Good night.
Thank you for listening. Don't forget to join us for more shows throughout the week. Find us on Facebook, Twitter and the World Wide Web to keep up to date with all the shows right here on Parasearch Radio.